The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health issues and create a custom, natural, holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Is intermittent fasting a fad? No, it's popular because it actually works. It gives you mental clarity, repairs cells, and uplifts your mood. And Life has the intermittent fasting program that does all that and gets your cells and body humming, and in turn boosts your metabolism with rich, dense nutrition and high-quality nutrients. It also has a program with exercise and recipes. Its components are a natural part of all my programs and can be easily be done by itself. You can reach out to me for details on it and my coaching programs on my complimentary consultation button of my link tree, which is at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, es.com/linktree, linktре. And when you do that, I'll be revitalizing your health in many different areas of your life. And pretty much I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. And my coaching for optimizing your health, efficiently release weight, and enhancing your mindset. You'll see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. To live your best life, a coach for health or business is necessary. Someone like me or my guest today can give you insights on how to improve. Achieving optimal health is essential to have a fulfilling life. I help guide you to your highest potential in health and mindset. I'm guiding you through your challenges that hinder you. And I also help you craft a new you. And with a winning strategy, you will elevate your health and mindset for success. With your transformation, you'll be more confident and be more successful in business. Today, I have Scott McAllister, an executive coach and speaker. He is a corporate healer who helps his clients find the North Star, something meaningful for them and important to them. This enables to unleash a peak performance and elevate life fulfillment. He also delivers a talk called Confessions of a Corporate Healer on the speaking circuit. He has over 30 years of driving transformational change for senior level management in digital and marketing organizations such as American Express, GE, Dell, Time Inc., and Comcast. Scott brings a wealth of corporate wisdom to his coaching practices and his speaking engagements. And through this strategic approach, his clients not only are driven to career acceleration and change, but also unleash their peak performance that elevates fulfillment in their lives. He empowers his clients to envision, plan, and realize the life of their dreams like I do. Today, we'll be discussing concepts from Confessions of the Corporate Healer. So let's welcome Scott McAllister, executive coach and speaker. Scott, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Debbie. Very glad to be here.
Glad you're here too. So, you consider yourself a corporate healer. What does that exactly mean?
Yeah, I spent 30 years, as you mentioned, in the corporate space with a variety of different companies. And now, as somebody that's an executive coach, I have many different clients that I work with. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is a lot of toxicity in the corporate workplace right now. And my thesis behind this is the level of change and transformation that's going on in the space is forcing people out of their good behaviors into their default behaviors, which are never their best behaviors. And it's creating a toxic work environment. And my concept of the corporate healer is coming in one person at a time, helping to get people better rooted, focused on a mission, understanding their values, really being comfortable, understanding their strengths, and using that then almost like you're hurricane proofing a building. You're really giving a solid foundation for the client so they could go back into the corporate environment and be more efficient, productive, and also impact their own life in the same time.
I see, I see. So you consider this an epidemic in the corporate America? Or is there
I
something
do.
else?
I do. Unfortunately, I've talked to far too many people that are experiencing this to not believe that it is. Not to say that every corporate leader is challenged, not to say that every organization is toxic, but the amount of them and some of the research I've seen has shown that it is at an epidemic level. And I'm sure that COVID and that transformation and change certainly didn't help the process. And we just continue to see transformation and change, whether it be geopolitical or artificial intelligence. All of these things just continue to accelerate the change that these senior leaders have to withstand and figure how to fight through and lead through. And many times it's too much of a challenge for folks, and they end up not bringing their best selves to work.
That's very true. When people are pressured or stressed, they have these emotions that are very low vibrational energies. They have anger, frustration, and doubt. And with technology moving so quickly, they probably are feeling like they can't keep up. So that's their fear. And they need to embrace to adjust themselves so they can keep up with the workplace, don't they?
They do. And it's interesting because there's a lot of different pieces of this. When people come to me, they always come for professional challenge. But in the coaching world, we have the wheel of life that looks at, and there are different ones, 7, 10, 12, however many areas of focus. The one I use has 7. One of those is yeah. One of those is health, which you are very focused on. Yes. I have a variety of areas that are all impacting that professional piece. They always come for the professional piece, but whether it be relationships, their community, their health, their finances, spirituality, learning and fun. All these other things are important. So it's not just being rooted professionally. It's having a good routine for your health, whether it be physical activity, mental activity, some form of spirituality, so that you can stay rooted and strong in the face of all these challenges and change. I think those that don't have those other things to lean back on and have for support are likely going to struggle a lot more than those that actually do have routines that help to support them through this challenging environment.
Yeah, and relationships are important too, whether it's personal or in the workplace. And people also seem like the relationship with finances are causing them stress and struggle. And especially here in the United States, at least I'm in California, the most expensive state of the union. And that's creating a crunch on them too. So, sometimes you need to just focus on yourself, your inner being, right? To see where you need to start first. Because if you can use your intuition more or be more empathetic to what's going on with your communication skills with others, or even see where there is a weak link that you can help foster, that would help the corporate workplace, wouldn't it?
Yes, no, I completely agree. And unfortunately, there's many times a lack of empathy existing out in the workplace. And as you pointed out, I think it's a great point that a lot of the work I do with my clients is we look inward and do the deep self work first. Because if you don't love yourself and you don't care for yourself, you're not coming with a full cup, right? You're already coming half empty. And I like to use the analogy with my clients. It's like a pail, a bucket with all these holes in it. And those holes are the stresses of the world that can impact us. You brought up money as an example, work stress, health stress, so on, and relationship stress. So we constantly have to be filling that back up so that we can show up as our best selves. So I agree with you 110% that starting with yourself and being in a good place and being able to love yourself, care for yourself, you can't care for anybody else if you haven't done that first.
Yes. And also you're projecting a vibration out there. I mean, if you're tense about something going on in the workplace or even in your relationship at home, it just projects this negative vibe out there. So you really need to foster, the higher vibrations like love, joy. Of course, those are things are kind of, you gotta really love what you're doing work, don't you? I mean, it's like those are really important. And that's why you help people find their North Star, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that when you find that grounding and what really drives you and what makes a real difference and where your passions lie, that has you show up in a whole different way. And as you talked about that higher energy vibration, I use this example with clients of mine that are going through job transitions and a job, showing up for job interviews, and say, it's almost like if you show up and you're not feeling great about things, you're feeling down, it's almost like a dog smells fear. That interviewer is going to pick up on those feelings, whether you call that energy vibration or whatever you want to call that. They recognize that, oh, dogs smell fear. It's that piece right there. So it's incredibly important to be centered and understand where it is you're aiming. And if you have that higher calling, it makes things so much easier. And you come with that wind in your sails as you show up in what you're doing.
Yeah, you have more confidence.
Absolutely.
And that just brings out the best out of you. Now, when it comes to these examples with your clients, how do you bring them to life to see these problems?
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is I call it mining different activities and experiences of their life to understand what really lights them up. So I'll give you an example. One of my activities I typically do early on is I say bring two of your best personal and two of your best professional experiences where you were shining your brightest, your happiest, your proudest. And what you find is when you start mining those activities, what were they doing? How were they being? Well, if this is what you're proud of and this is what lit you up, why don't we find ways to do more of that, have more of those experiences, and really orient then, if I know that this is what I'm looking to do and what my strengths are in those situations, really orienting that direction. And some coaches will focus in on weaknesses and how do we shore up weaknesses. I believe that's like a fulcrum where you're out here and you get just a wee little bit of a push.
Yes.
We focus on your strengths. I've got a massive fulcrum that I can push and create impact. So helping people to understand how they show up in their best. Where is their zone of genius? When are they in their flow? And orienting towards that's where I want to go and spend my time. And what's my mission that I'm trying to achieve through that activity? Now you've got a calling. Now you have dharma. Now you have something that is much more impactful for this world. And you're not just doing a job anymore. And honestly, that's how I feel in the work I do. Debbie, I'm sure you love what you do the same. Being a coach is such a wonderful lifestyle of helping transform people's lives. It doesn't feel like work doing the work that we do.
No,
it's a blessing to be able to do it.
It lights you up when you see these changes. And, sometimes you need to just look at what their skill set is, right? To see where they really lie in the business world, even in their health, okay, exercise and things like that, because you got to find what sparks them, like you said, and so they will, succeed, because they can always delegate something to somebody else, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's I don't know if you're familiar with Gabe Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, but he talks about the zone of genius, the zone of excellence, the zone of competence, and the zone of incompetence. And he is constantly in his life trying to stay in that zone of genius where he's flow state, where he's his very best self. And as you work down those rungs, and you can kind of from the words tell what they mean, you may be competent at doing something, but you don't love doing it. Why not delegate that work off? so that you can focus more on staying in your area of greatest impact in your zone of genius. So I'm a big believer in understanding where is that space so you can stay in that space as long as possible. And finding the irony is, for me, doing my books each month for my business is not something I love or enjoy, but there's somebody out there whose dharma and calling is doing the books. They love the numbers. They love to be in that. So by delegating that off, somebody else who really it's their zone of genius will be taking that on. It'll free me up to focus more with my clients and what I truly love to do.
True, because it would make everybody more productive in a whole team. So, delegate things that people are really good at, and don't feel like you have to do everything, because you don't, because all you're going to do is drain yourself.
Absolutely.
You get what I mean? So, do you believe there's a path to reversing the trend in corporate America today in the toxicity?
Yeah, I honestly believe the way I'm trying to impact it is one person at a time through my coaching practice. And then I'm going out on the public speaking circuit and doing talks like this to try and reach more people, because I believe there's a butterfly effect. If I can impact one person, they can impact more people. The more the word gets out there, and I'm not the only person doing this work. There's many coaches out in the world, whether they be health coaches, they do executive coaches, life coaches, whatever they may be, but there's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done. I would love to say that the entire world is at a state of consciousness. I think we both can agree we're not there,
Right.
but I aspire that we reach that state. And I will do everything until the day I leave this earth to make sure that I do my part to help break through on the challenges and create a more empathetic and positive environment for organizations across the world by working with senior leaders to help them to really retool, and find that greater meaning and show up in a greater way for their organizations.
Yeah, because if you show up in a greater way, like what we're working as a collaboratory type of event here, it's kind of a ripple effect that's going to help a lot of people in the future. So don't you want something a little bit easier where people can do things and be more productive? I mean, like we were talking about delegating, we're talking about emotional sets, releasing the negative, but there's a lot of things you can do to try to elevate your spirit, as well as release your stress and emotions. Is there anything that you work with your clients on?
I do. There's different activities, and you won't be surprised as I start talking through some of these. I work with my clients to put a gratitude practice in place. It's
That's
proven.
very important.
Yeah, the neuroscience of it actually helps you to attract more positivity by going through having a simple practice of gratitude each and every morning. Affirmations, another one that here's how I want to show up. Here's what I'm going to do, and repeating that, especially after going through doing some meditation and mindfulness, which is another thing that I encourage my clients to do as well.
Me too.
I also am a firm believer, as you are, I'm sure, around physical activity and exertion. It works the brain as much as the body and really helps people to show up the right way. And it's interesting because people come to me to fix the corporate problems, but many times when you start peeling the onion, the problems are in some of these other areas and how they're showing up. And it has nothing to do with what's going on professionally. It's some of the unresolved things we have inside. It's not dealing with some of the challenges they face that they've kind of pressed those feelings down and not resolved. And so I help my clients to also do that as well. It's the work they don't expect, but it's the deep work that makes the change and the transformation for my clients.
Yes, and I find that ecotherapy is so beneficial. I mean, I'm a runner, okay? I run outside. I'm a hiker, and I'm also a skier, so I love the outdoors. Just so listening to the ocean waves, listening to the birds chirping, feeling that warm sun, cool breeze, the smells of nature that are pleasant, obviously. It just kind of relaxes you. And, if you're in an activity like running or walking, that's a great way to stimulate some creativity.
Yes. Yeah,
And
interesting, right? So many of my clients come from that left brain analytic side of things
mhm,
and will struggle to get into that creative side of the brain. And I
mhm.
have certain activities we use to help push them that direction. But if you think about where people come up with some of their best ideas, sometimes they say it's the shower, right? It's like you're not thinking about it and it comes to you. But I know for me in my career, running was when I did a lot of my thinking because your
Mm.
mind is clear. You're not in a stressful situation and it lets you get to the creative side of your brain. So I echo what you said. The Japanese, I'm forgetting the specific term for it, but it translates to tree bathing. Their belief that you
Oh,
go through,
forest bathing.
yes,
Yes,
yes, yes, yes.
that's what ecotherapy is all about. Yes.
Yes, that by going into nature, that can actually and I'm a big outdoors person. I love to hike as well, just as you mentioned for yourself. I firmly believe in that of having the sunshine, getting the vitamin D, the blue sky, the wind, the breeze, all those things can really help us to reduce stress and also create clarity and move us into our more creative way of thinking.
And also, like you said, their health is really important. They need to unburden themselves of illnesses and chronic disease and, fine tune their body, whether it's with exercise or whether it's with diet. It does make a big difference if they're drinking a lot of alcohol, if they're eating a lot of processed food because they're in a hurry, they don't have time to eat. Treasuring a meal and just sitting there and eating and thinking about how good that meal is when it's good, healthy, and toxic free can reduce stress too, because you're not thinking about what's going on in the business. So it's really important to take those lunch breaks.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny, right? Because so many people will spend that time and they just power through and we all know and have been told that's not the thing to do, but we find it easier to when there's stressful times and things that get done to go do that. But taking the time, taking the break, even going for a walk around the block, whatever it might be, just to get away, to give yourself time and let your body recharge is oh so important.
Yeah, it is. Now, do you have any examples of organizations that may be on the right path currently?
Well, I think an easy one that gets talked about a lot is Patagonia. I mean, Patagonia is an organization that does what it says it's going to do. It lives its corporate mission. And something my daughter was just telling me because she loves Patagonia. She's 17 years old. Stuff is expensive, so she was saying one of her friends had actually found that Patagonia has a used clothes website because their clothes are so robust that they last. And
Yes, they
rather
do.
than them ending up in a landfill somewhere, um, they are actually reselling. So it allows the recyclability and reuse. And I think you can see in the materials they use, like every step, every piece of what they do is informed by their mission. I think another one, although it's now owned by Unilever, but Ben and Jerry's was always very known for working with very specifically with the farms and the area where they were from and making sure it was hormone free and organic and the very best qualities and they did things the right way. So there are definitely some examples out there of companies that really do things the right way, and then there's gradation down from there of what companies are doing. Not all companies are toxic.
No, they're not. I used to be in the video world, and I used to test video equipment and train, and as well as demo it. Um, and I also I did video, a corporate video, but I was with one company called Pinnacle Systems, and they got purchased by AVIC Technologies. But they had some fun things to do if you needed to just blow off steam. They had a pool table, they had fuzzball machines. It was just like it was something to just get away to think, how can I make this software, this equipment better? And they would do that. And it was like they had their own cafeteria, and they had things to just support the morale of their employees. And I hope more corporations are doing that.
Yeah, I think one that I was lucky enough to work for was American Express. I spent almost 10 years with them, and they're known for their focus on people leadership. They were focused on DEI before DEI became a three-letter thing, and really phenomenal leadership. And part of that ties into the company. If you think about it, these plastic or metal cards, you're going to spend all this money on it. Really, it's just a plastic or metal card. So what's behind it? It's a service ethos. And not only do they serve their customers, they serve the people that work in the organization as well. And I was blessed to work under the leadership of Ken Chenault, who was the CEO there, probably one of the greatest CEOs to walk the earth. And he had an empathetic side to him that you don't see from lots of senior leaders that are out there today. There was a good balance in the way he approached things.
Yeah, because you need to approach things in a balanced way. Think about what you can do for your employees. Think about what you can do for your team. Think about what you can do for yourself and what you can do for the company, right?
Yes.
So, and you got to really love the mission of your company. If you're just there to do a 9-to-5 job, do you really love it?
Probably not.
Exactly. So, like you said, you got to find your passion. So how do you find people to find their passion?
Well, I'll go back to what we talked about earlier about mining their greatest actions and activities, whether they be personally or professionally. From there, if those are the things that lit them up before, what were they doing? How were they being? How can we find those same types of activities to go do those things? And in certain cases, Debbie, it may actually point towards something they've already been doing professionally or personally. And in other cases, it might be a massive pivot away from what they've been doing professionally and something that really lights them up personally that they could, to bring in another Japanese phrase, the ikigai of when you do what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what it'll pay for, that concentricity of those circles, that's the sweet spot. In finding that for my clients, helping them to understand. Some of the clients that come to me, one of the things I love to do is those that have realized what they're doing in corporate America, this isn't it anymore. It's not filling their cup. But they don't know what else to do. They're a little bit, rudderless, and helping them to navigate through and figure, well, what is it that would light you up? Because if you just ask somebody, well, what do you want your mission to be? Or what would you could do any job? Very rarely have any of my clients give me a quick answer. It takes some work. It takes some soul searching. And working through the methodology that I have brings some of these things to the surface. And in the end, they control their own life, and they discover the realities for themselves of what is it that's really going to fill their cup, and what is it that mission they really want to follow. And too many people, to your point, are just punching the 9-to-5 clock, and it's like it's paying the bills. And I think it's the old Dave Matthews song of ants marching, right? We just kind of keep marching along, doing the same thing and living for the weekends. And if you're living for the weekends and you're living for your vacations, you're probably doing something wrong, because you could have a very fulfilling life in what you're doing right here and now. You don't have to be escaping from it in order to have fulfillment.
Yeah, that brings a point to my mind right now, because sometimes you just have a career change. I mean, I was doing video, right? Now I'm doing a certified holistic health coach. Whoa, that's completely different. But you got to find something that's fulfilling for you. And in life, we're meant to grow, and that means you need to learn to explore yourself, and it means that you need to review what you're doing probably on a yearly basis, which is what I do too, and see how you can do better. Because I know it's interesting, when I started this podcast, green as can be, but as time went on, I got a lot more comfortable. It became a lot easier. And you just learn when you kind of push yourself out of those boundaries, and don't be scared to do that, of doing something new. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because what I've discovered is no matter how talented the person that shows up to me, we all have our stuff. We all have the things that get in the way. We all have our fears. We have our saboteurs, the coaching term we use, that's that subconscious voice that tells you, like, you can't do that. You're going to fail at that. And finding ways to tame that voice and actually be with it and calm it down, and having the comfort to take that leap and go and press through is usually the biggest challenge. And sometimes there's folks that will come to me and we'll do a discovery session, and I can tell in the session from the dialogue, they're not ready. They're not ready for the change. They say they want the change, but saying you want the change and being ready for the change are two very different things. So there's a big step and leap of faith that has to happen. But as you pointed out, at the end of the day, Debbie, like, you've done this massive transformation and change in your career. So have I, from being a senior executive to going into this coaching and speaking world. And man, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty darn happy with the changes and this pivot and what I'm able to do with my life. So helping people to get through that change curve is a big part of the coaching that I have to work through as well. Because for many years, our whole body is set up to reject change.
Yes, it is.
We were set up so that don't walk out of the cave and get in bed by the saber-toothed tiger. Stay where you are, where you're safe. And so that same mechanism in neurology is still in these human bodies that we have today. And you have to overcome it, because anybody that says they love change, it's not true. And I used to do a ton of transformation work and would say I did, but there is a literal physiological reaction to change that happens naturally that we all have to overcome. So finding ways to take on those challenges, and there's a phrase of diamonds are made from high pressure coal. Sometimes we have to go through challenges and putting ourselves out there to really get to what we want in the future. Exactly.
Because you can't let your brain to control you through your fear. We have been programmed since childhood. And it's interesting, a toddler was never scared of pulling themselves up and walking and falling. It's okay to fail, because you can learn from that failure what you can do better. So that when a toddler fails, well, that didn't quite work, so maybe I'll try this instead. Our adult brain has so many things in there that it's afraid of failing. And you can always look at a failure in a different way as, okay, this didn't work. How can I do this better? Just like a toddler does.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. And I like to take that word failure out. It's just learning. The only failure is if you stay down. So if you're the toddler, you fall down and you just lay down and sit there crying. Okay, now you failed, but you got right back up and you learn. So without taking those steps, and I think many very successful entrepreneurs will say, I failed thousands of times before I was successful.
No, and that's okay. You can look at a fail in a different way. It doesn't have to be so negative. And it's a learning moment, like you said, of what to do in the future. So, but don't let them add up to this big, huge snowball that becomes like this avalanche. Let it, cut the tide, let it flow down the river like a leaf going down the river into the sea or something. It's something that you experience. Okay, I'll do something different next time. And you'll find other opportunities out there. And I've learned that from my life because, I've had things going on in my life or things stopping me. And I was like, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop, letting these things stop me because I'm not doing what I love, what I'm passionate about. And that's what makes life living, what you're passionate about. That's what makes life more enriched and more fulfilling, doing things that you really love. And you may switch gears because you've like, okay, I've done what I wanted to do in this space. Now I want to do what in that space. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so many possibilities. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I think part of the problem I see, Debbie, is there's this social media world that we live in that everybody puts out these images. Nobody posts the stuff that doesn't go right. They post all the wins and the wonderful things and look how perfect it is. But we all know that's not true. There's a gentleman, Rich Litvin, in the coaching community who's pretty well known because he wrote a book called The Prosperous Coach. And I heard him, I was in a seminar with him, and he talked about, here's a letter I wrote to myself 20 years ago. He's been a very successful 7-figure coach now for years. And he read it to us, and it was not somebody in a happy place. They felt they were a failure. They felt they weren't doing it. And he was a coach at that point, and it just wasn't working. And he was exposing that to these coaches, and many of us were newer coaches that were in this seminar, to help us understand, like, it isn't going to be always easy. It isn't always going to be perfect.
No.
But if you love what you do, you can overcome those challenges as you go. And there's a bit of this, everything's been plasticized over of this perfectness that we all know as humans, we are not perfect.
We are not perfect.
Not a single one of them.
Being perfect.
That is true. And I think that people believe, because of all the imagery they're seeing and they're flooded with, that you have to be perfect. And that's just not true. And so I think it's really important that people be more authentic and open and honest about the challenges that they have faced in their careers or faced in their life. And so people understand that this journey it's not perfect for anyone. Along the way, there will be wins, there'll be losses, there'll be failures. It's all part of this thing we call life.
Yes, it is. And you got to pay attention to the things you really want to do in life so you don't regret you didn't do them. But, if they didn't come to you, you also have to release that. So it's kind of a two-edged sword,
Yes.
We're here in life to grow. We're here in life to mold ourselves to be better for ourselves and the community around us and our family and everything else. If you have to all of a sudden do something for your family and divert yourself, that's okay. That's your part of your life you need to deal with. If you have to, feel like you need to leave someplace, that's okay too, because you will find another opportunity. There's many opportunities out there for people.
Yeah. It's what you're saying is resonating. I've been doing a lot of reading of people that work with folks at end of life and what regrets look like. And nobody ever says, I wish I worked a little harder. I wish I'd got that one more promotion.
True.
They talk about things, as you were mentioned, like, I've got to take care of my wife or my husband or my partner or grandmother, mother, whatever it is. Those are the things at the end of our life that are most important. Those connections, those relationships, the things that really lit us up. And we get so caught up in what Western society has told us success is and what the means of success are and the materialism, that we lose sight of what's really important many times. And it's hard when you're on that wheel, the hamster wheel, to hop off and realize I'm still on the hamster wheel. I'm running even harder, but I'm still on the hamster wheel. You're never going to materially fulfill the truth fulfillment. You're not going to get it that way. I've met plenty of really, not that having money and a nice home over your head can't help, but I've met plenty of very, very wealthy, miserable people.
Yes. And unfortunately, I have too. And it's really sad because they have wonderful lives. And possibly somebody didn't get a degree in college, but they were, VPs in companies and did really well. It's like, open your eyes. You've done really well in your life. So people just need to be aware and not have blinders like horses of what the gratitudes that they should foster,
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you about your offer. You have an offer for my audience today?
I do. I'd love to extend an offer of 30 minutes of a complimentary impact session of coaching with me. And I know you're going to post this in the notes so people can find it, but it's within my website. My business is mcaexecservices.com, and it's the / Debi Changes Lives. That will be 30 minutes for your audience to do individual coaching sessions with them to hopefully help change their lives.
Okay. And what can they look forward to? What's a typical thing that you do in this coaching session?
Usually in these sessions, I ask them to come with something they want to talk about, an understanding of usually people don't show up to a coach without any challenges or issues. They usually have some things in mind and ask them to come with a thing or two. And then we'll dig into that and see where it leads us.
Okay. Yeah, having direction and asking for help is so important with any type of coach. That's why I said at the beginning, whether it's health or business, coaching is a necessity. And because you may think you know it all, but there's going to be somebody else that'll know more than you.
I always use the example for coaching that imagine Michael Phelps at the Olympics without a coach. Nobody could imagine that. But why would you not need coaches for things like your health or an executive for their performance? People don't necessarily think of it the same. And it's, as you know, the coaching business has come a long way where it's much more mainstream and acceptable now. But when we talk about things like an athletic coach, it is assumed.
Yes.
Having the access to folks like you, Debbie, and like myself to help people, I think can really help transform their lives and help them go to the next level.
Exactly. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning, coaching wherever you need it, you need to seek it. Because
Yes.
they'll give you a perspective that you don't even know about. So, well, I know that your offer is going to be so valuable for your potential clients to give them insights that we've been talking about. And I want to thank you for being on my show. Will you be a guest again?
I'd love to, Debbie. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Please stick around because we will have time for closing remarks, okay?
Wonderful.
So,
We'll do.
okay. Now, remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many areas of health. And I usually start off with correcting the gut because it will give you mental clarity. And it may not be that for you, but that will happen. And also, I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods, high quality nutritional products. They'll help reduce symptoms. You'll feel better and you'll be more productive, as well as you might even release some weight. All this will uplift your mood. With my mindset coaching, I help you release your stress, reduce emotions and entanglements in the past, which I know that it sounds like Scott works on that too. So my whole point is that your mindset will be enhanced. Mindset is so important, okay? And then with the other things I offer with health coaching, enhancing your health and releasing weight efficiently, that will make your body more efficient. So ask me about my programs at the complimentary consultation button of my link tree, which is at Debi Changes Lives. That's DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, es.com/linktree, LINKTREE. And when you do that, you'll get to know me. I get to know you, and I will guide you to optimal health. And it does start off with a couple of assessments, okay? And the first one I have is the health evaluation. It's actually complimentary. You can go to the next slide, where you're going to rate your symptoms in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions might be repeated. Just answer them, and you will get a health score. We'll review it together. If you move forward with my services, we will be doing this on a monthly basis. And also on my site, I have 2 different body Zyto scans. And I prefer to do the Zyto link because I can do it remotely, internationally. Went to South Africa. And what it is, the transdermal optical imaging app that I send you a link to your phone. And you scan your face for 30 seconds. It's only looking at blood flow, so don't be scared about anything else. It's looking for components of energetic, functional, and emotional, which is really important, in different body systems and lifestyles. It generates a wellness report, not a diagnosis, of biomarkers out of range and products and services that bring them back into range. I do review it with you because it is quite intensive, and the cost of the scan is $50. If you move forward with my programs or products, you get a $25 discount. Now, the transdermal optical imaging, also known as TOI, is very accurate. And you can actually look that up at pubmed.gov for more information. If you are really interested, you can buy a package of 5 for the price of 4, saving yourself some $50. And people are really amazed what their body tells them through the scan, and you'll be too. Also on this site are my my programs, and I have many of them. And Take Your Body Back is a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you're going to be using your new use to succeed. All meetings are on Zoom, and the first one's private to you. We go over your health. I give you choice between two meal plans, and you begin directions on one, and also how to create that new version of you in an avatar board that'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation. As well as, with my coaching, we'll be celebrating your wins, and I'll get you over your gaps with health and mindset. You also will have a chance to look at my previous episode on my Linktree, which is Holistic Self-Care, for more details on this, or ask me questions. Why Fast? That intermittent fasting program I described earlier, with rich, dense nutrition and high-quality nutrients with exercise and recipes. You can ask me questions here if you need some more guidance. I have a smaller programs in 2 and 4 week portions that you can do as well as coaching. And then I also do small programs, large programs, custom programs for mindset coaching, and as well as health coaching. For a limited time, I'm offering Debi's Coaching Chats, which is a complimentary service in an intimate group setting that's 30 minutes. It's not recorded. A survey picks a topic. You'll learn how to optimize your health, ways to release stress and emotions, efficiently release weight, how to harmonize your body, hormones for body balance, and also how to create that winning mindset to optimize your health and weight transformation, and create that avatar board that'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation. It's on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. You need to be registered for it at Debi Changes Lives, which is DebiChangesLive as in victory es.com/chats. And finally, learn more about alternative health programs, products, and services, programs, events, and upcoming shows by subscribing to my newsletter. And I give you a gift where you can record your gratitude, thoughts, feelings, emotions, the foods you ate, the water you drank, nutritional products you took, and the exercise done on a daily basis. You can also track your measurements. You want to review this on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, see your wins, and celebrate them. If you need help finding your gaps, then I help you with that, and I also coach you for that. This tool is a great journal for health and mindset, and it will make you more aware. I'm certain that you found this show educational, inspiring, and enjoyed it. Reach out to me for my programs, products, and services, and reach out to Scott for his coaching in the executive world and his speaking engagements. Do we have some time to talk to Scott again for closing remarks?
Well, great. Thanks, Debbie, so much for having me on today. I really, truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And we both can, revitalize people's lives and make them live a more fulfilling life. Don't you agree?
I do. I was thinking the one last little nugget I'd give to your audience that popped in my head. We talked about doing gratitude practices. We talked about affirmations, and you're talking about doing the journaling. Actually, was another thing that triggered for me. Is another thing that I talk about with my clients of journaling twice a day, whether it be about things that are health related, but anything else on the mind. It really helps to clear your mind, to get yourself into the day. It also helps you clear your mind so you can get yourself into your bed and have a nice night's sleep where you're not rolling around into things that you're thinking about. So
Yeah.
A lot of these tricks and tools make massive difference in people's lives and really take only minutes a day to do.
Yeah, and the journaling is so important to release that stress, like you said, and also being aware in the past what was happening to you.
Yes.
So that you can learn the learning moment. So,
absolutely.
So anyways, I want to thank you again. So you can continue to enjoy my show on Debi Changes Lives on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.